I believe I should start off this video by letting you know that Bardock is my favorite character in Dragon Ball, closely followed by his son Goku. Hell, for the people who've been following my channel for a while, you would know he was my profile picture for damn near 2 years. Not to mention he's basically my main in Fighters, the game that I destroy everybody in.
What? Is this nigga a god?
And I get it right. He's like one of the 500 Goku clones you see in the series, which wasn't always the case. But the story behind the character is what captivated me and made me a very big fan of him. And as much as I respect Bardock, they are fucking him up in Super. They got his personality all twisted. And today, we're gonna go over his first special, leading all the way up to his current position in Super, just to figure out how much they switched up Bardock's nature. Before starting, I want to give a shout out to our patrons, Daniel Frankovich, and our new patron, Sexy Mustang 10. If you want to join the Patreon, the link will be in the description below. Now, let's get on with the video. Bardock, the father of Goku, was a Dragon Ball Z special that released on March 19, 2003. It was a special created by Toei to give insight on Goku's true origin before he was sent to Earth and became the hero he is today. But throughout this special, we mostly focus on Bardock and the tragic fate of the Saiyan race. We start off this special by hearing an infant Goku crying his lungs out. The doctor that looks upon him boasts that one day he'll grow up to be a great warrior, much to the dismay of his other alien partner. He then gives him the name Kakarot, which means carrot in Japan. If you didn't know this, all Saiyans are named after some type of vegetable, as one of Toriyama's many puns in the series. After this, we cut to planet Kanasa, which the natives that live there prepare to face their demise. The full moon on their planet emerges, and with that comes the transformation of 5 great Saiyan warriors. The people of Kanasa are no match for the Saiyans and are wiped out along with their civilization before the sun could even rise. The next day, the Saiyans were discussing their battle, and this is where we get introduced to Bardock's team. There's Toma, Bardock's best friend, Pumbukin, the fat guy, Totopo, the largest member in the group who really never said anything, and Fasha, or Serpa, pretty much the first female Saiyan we see with a major role in the series. They're all low-level Saiyans trying to prove themselves by taking on elite planets such as Kanasa. Fasha then suggests that Bardock should go check on his son. We then get our first look at Bardock. We see that his appearance is very similar to Goku. The only thing separating the two is the large scar on Bardock's cheek. I think this would be a good time to bring up the fact that being a Goku clone wasn't his original design. This is the first design for Bardock's character by Katsuyoshi Nakasuru. You can see that while he still looks a lot like Goku, it's enough to not outright call him a Goku clone. I really dig this original style of the character and wish this was the version they stuck with, but it wasn't meant to be. Anyway, Bardock states that visiting his son would be a waste of time, since he was basically going to be shipped off soon anyway. This gives us some early insight into Bardock's harsh outlook on family. He knew that being a low-class warrior like himself, his son wasn't going to be destined for anything great, so what was even the point of caring about him? I should mention that he also didn't bring up Raditz a single time during this special, further proving how uncaring he was towards his own children. Not any mention of Gina either, but to be fair, she didn't exist at this point, and everybody used to think that Fasha was Goku's mom, which didn't make any sense because she stated herself that he was just born yesterday. I guess they wanted to leave the origin of his mother a mystery at this point, as they did with the rest of the Saiyans that's alive currently. While the group continued chit-chatting, the rocks behind them began to crumble as the lone survivor of planet Kanasa emerges from the rubble. He charges at the group of Saiyans, mainly at Bardock, before vanishing and striking Bardock, sending him crashing to the ground momentarily. He's then dealt with by the rest of the group, but before he met his fate, he informs Bardock that with that strike, he has gifted him the power to witness his own fate, just the same as they did. He gloats at the fact that Bardock and his race will one day meet the same end as his people, before Bardock finally snaps and deals the finishing blow, completely wiping out the race of planet Kanasa. Bardock later passes out as a toll from the blow starts to take effect, and the group rushes him back to planet Vegeta to get healed. On a distant planet, we see a younger Vegeta training by having a death match with 5 Cybermen. He wipes them out with ease as a much younger Nappa and the Frieza soldier looks on. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Vegeta with bangs looks way cooler than him with that corny ass Widow's Peak. I get that this wasn't the original design choice for Vegeta, but as we see in Dragon Ball Super, he has the bangs again, and it changes once again in the Broly movie, which makes it pretty confusing. If you ask me, I prefer the bangs over Widow's Peak any day. So after destroying those Cybermen, we see Frieza discussing the recent news about planet Kanasa with Zarbon and Dodoria. He is impressed and at the same time disgusted by the fact that a group of low-class Saiyans were able to take over a planet that was meant for Saiyan elites to handle. Zarbon then states that the Saiyans are getting a bit too good at what they do, and they should do something about them quickly before an uprising could occur. This discussion is then broken up by Vegeta, who asks Frieza for a real mission, which is granted. And at this moment you can tell that Frieza is planning something in the back of his mind. We dip back to Planet Vegeta and see Bardock in a healing chamber. His comrades look on, asking if he's in good enough condition to take on the next planet. After not being cleared, his teammates conclude that they can handle it without him, and take off from Planet Vegeta, leaving Bardock behind with his own thoughts. Bardock begins to have visions about the future, mostly about his son Kakarot, but images of his friends and the fate of his home planet are mixed in as well. After having a mini freakout, the medic drains the healing liquid from the pod and releases Bardock. After dismissing the experience he had as just a nightmare, he grabs his scouter, excited to join his team in battle. As he ran through the hallway, he was stopped when he heard the familiar sound of his son Kakarot, seeing him in person for the first time. He uses his scouter to calculate his son's power level out of curiosity, and is disappointed by the results. He continues on without a second thought. We once again see that Bardock isn't exactly a good person, not a good father at least. He is ruthless in battle, and just as cold to his own offspring. He judges his son based on his own power level, just like the other Saiyans did to him. And for fuck's sake, he didn't even name his son. A complete stranger did. He has no care for the planet he might get shipped off to as well. The only thing he was focused on was jumping straight into battle. We soon find out what's been happening to Bardock's crew, and it's anything but good. All of them laid there, completely lifeless and defeated. But not by the people of that planet they were meant to capture, but by Frieza's own elite soldiers. Tora, being the last one breathing, was informed by the Doria that Frieza had grown to be too impressed by the Saiyans' ability in combat, and the plan to get rid of them had initiated. Bardock later arrives on the scene, and is absolutely horrified to see the state of his former comrades. Tora calls him over, still clinging on to life by a thread. He tells him that Frieza had turned his back on the Saiyans, noticing that a low-level Saiyan like Bardock was taking on missions that not even his elite soldiers wanted to do. He dies shortly in Bardock's arms, wishing his friend good luck one last time. Bardock takes the rag from Tora's arm and goes full Rambo, soaking the blood from his best friend into the rag and wraps it around his head. He then faces off with Frieza's soldiers after they came back to finish the job. I really love this scene because it showed that even though he was outnumbered, his skill from being in constant battle outclassed him in every way. So, after defeating them all and being ready to take revenge for his fallen comrades, he gets one-shotted by the Doria, and that one blast pretty much did enough damage to almost kill him. It revealed that even though he was getting stronger, he still had a long way to go in terms of power. The Doria makes it back to Frieza's spaceship to inform him that the job was complete, but Frieza bitterly informs him that he was wrong. There was a lone survivor, Bardock. The Doria tries to redeem himself by offering to go deal with him himself, but Frieza tells him not to bother, as it didn't matter much anyway. The end of the Saiyan race begins here. As Bardock flies back to his home planet, he comes across a spaceship, and for a brief moment he knew exactly who was in that ship as it flew away, and more visions of the future started to appear. As he exits from the pod, he is informed that his son was indeed shipped away to planet Earth, confirming that the visions he was having were true. Frieza was planning on annihilating the Saiyan race. Realizing that time was short, he rushed off to go inform the other Saiyans, but his injuries were slowing him down greatly. He falls down some steps, which made me laugh way more than it should have, and he starts having more visions of Goku's time on Earth. He gets back up and runs into a room full of other Saiyans who are laughing and hanging out with each other. Bardock does his best to warn them that Frieza intends on destroying their race, but instead of listening, they all start laughing at him. They didn't think Frieza would ever betray them since they've been putting in more work than the rest of Frieza's soldiers. They also berate Bardock and his team for being foolish enough to take on missions meant for elite warriors. This caused Bardock to snap, seeing his own race of people acting so careless about a serious situation that could result in the end of their entire race. Determined to change the future on his own, Bardock runs off to go confront Frieza. As he makes his way outside, he suddenly finds himself on planet Namek, hearing the voice of his son call out to him. He turns around and sees him standing there, telling his father that it's not too late to be different than Frieza. That even though he committed to a lot of terrible things, there was still a shot of redemption for him. Bardock snaps out of this and realizes that this is it. He was going to make his last stand right here, in the name of his fallen comrades and the fate of Planet Vegeta. He takes off into outer space and approaches Frieza's spaceship, and this is where the most badass scene of the special plays. Frieza's soldiers come out to defend him, but Bardock being there by himself takes them all out. His battle power at this point was on par with King Vegeta. Frieza watches all of this go on from his ship and is utterly disgusted that a low-class warrior such as Bardock was causing all of this chaos. He was the prime example of why the Saiyans had to be put down. Bardock eventually makes it to the ship, and Frieza emerges from it. This was it. This was his shot at redemption. In his heart, I'm pretty sure Bardock knew he wasn't going to come out of this the winner, but he was the only Saiyan out there brave enough to defend his home. He tells Frieza that they quit, that they wasn't going to be used to do his dirty work anymore. He then utters my favorite line from the entire series. As he charges a blast in his hand, he tells Frieza that this is for everyone that he's killed in his name. Not only was this one shot in the hopes to save his race, but it was to also confirm that this was about his redemption as well. But as we know, it didn't work. Bardock, the lonely soldier, and the race he tried desperately to save, are swept up in a large energy blast. One last vision comes to Bardock, and he sees that his son will be the one to avenge the Saiyan race in the future. And as the planet blows up, Bardock sends one final message to his son, thanking him for helping him see the true error of his ways. Vegeta is by himself after conquering the planet, and is informed that his home planet had been destroyed. He took this news pretty well considering the fact that everyone close to him was dead, but I'm sure he wasn't buying the fact that his home planet was destroyed by a meteor. The look on his face said it all. We wrap up this special by seeing a kind old man named Gohan coming across an infant Saiyan. He picks him up and notices he had a tail, which was unusual for babies around there. He gives the child the name Goku, which made the Saiyan very happy to hear. And the special ended, as Gohan holds a very happy Goku in his arms, starting the long journey to becoming the great warrior he is today. Even though the special wasn't exactly canon, Toriyama included Bardock in a panel of the Dragon Ball manga when Goku faced off with Frieza. Bardock and his tragic tale was an instant hit with the fans, and the character was very well received. Toei, looking to gain off the popularity, most likely for merchandise reasons, released a sequel to the special a couple years later, and we'll get to that in the next character assessment video. If you guys enjoyed this review, then please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out my Patreon, or you can become a member to my channel. I would love to hear your thoughts on Bardock in his current role, so please show your opinion on the character in the comments below. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. See you next time.